He is Jon Mozes, and he is on the line with us this morning from New Hampshire, where the Altoona Curve finally gets back in action after the All-Star break. Our conversation is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Jon, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us here today as we get set for the resumption of the season. That break has to feel pretty good, right?
It always does. You know, the guys, everybody gets a chance to get away for a couple days, see friends and family, just sort of unplug from it for 2-3 days, and then get right back to it. That All-Star break goes pretty quick, but definitely much needed.
I would imagine that at the minor league level, it's not a great difference than it is at the major league level, except that the resources that these guys have to get away aren't nearly as much as it is in terms of being able to afford to go here or to go there and fly off for a golf vacation or something like that. Do guys actually hang around the ball club a little bit more?
Yeah, some guys, saw that, the team would be traveling to New Hampshire yesterday, for a workout yesterday, so they actually traveled on Wednesday of this week. So for some guys, it just didn't make sense to fly somewhere else and then fly. You couldn't really book an extravagant golf vacation, as much fun as that sounds. But, guys that were able to drive, a reasonable distance, like Bear Bellamy, for example, drove home to West Virginia. It's about 4 hours from Altoona. And then he came back to get on the bus with us. So, in some cases, yes, guys, take the opportunity. Some guys can fly to other places. I know a few of our guys that, flew to visit their fiance or visit their family and then just going to come and meet the team for the workout yesterday. So it's an interesting mix, but it's important to try to get away a little bit during the day-to-day grind of it.
Yeah, and even if it just involves taking a set of clubs and heading out to the local golf course, that's a pretty good getaway. And if you can get away from baseball for a little bit, that recharges the batteries, gets you set to start all over again. And for the Altoona Curve, of course, you get to this time of the year. Major League Baseball draft is just held. Players are shuffling back and forth. A bunch of guys go to Altoona. A bunch of guys head to Indianapolis. So you're getting used to some new names, aren't you?
Yeah, the second half team is here. Guys like Jackson Glenn and Anthony Solomito and Sung-Chae Chang and Abraham Gutierrez. These are the guys that are going to be pretty central to the Curve's success in the second half of the season. All guys started the year at Greensboro and earned their way to Double-A. And, as you said, with the draft, this will be interesting, to sort of see how the rosters shake over the next couple of weeks. I don't expect that Altoona will get Paul Skeens this year. You never know. My anticipation is that the number one overall pick in the draft will take the rest of this year off to let that arm heal up a little bit and then go full bore at it in spring training next year.
What would that be like, though, for Altoona to come to P&G Field and Paul Skeens walk out of the dugout?
I mean, it would be akin to Steven Strasburg's debut. Highly anticipated, obviously, in Pirates world. One of the most dominant college pitchers in the history of the game, and I'm very interested to see him pitch against pro batters. Just to see how they approach him differently. If the stuff plays the same way, I mean, a guy sits 100 miles an hour with his fastball. I mean, that's pretty incredible in the first place. So I am sure he's going to fly through the minor league system and make his way up pretty soon.
Yeah, well, Anthony Solomito has certainly been an eye-opener. I would imagine that before the end of this season, you're going to see a guy like Bubba Chandler come up, and maybe Massey joins the team at some point too. And you look forward to that, but at the same time, you realize that if they're coming to the Curve, then people are exiting from the Curve, and some of them will go up. Some of them might go down, and that's the way minor league baseball works. So, there's some nerves involved in playing minor league baseball, isn't there?
There sure is. There are specific times of year where, you can sort of feel a little bit of anxiety around the team, particularly around the trade deadline for a club that is contending. So in my former life, before I worked for Altoona, I worked for Trenton, which was the Yankees Double-A affiliate in this same league. And, the Yankees were competing to win every single year. So at the trade deadline, names start to get thrown around for trades. and it's often guys that are in your Double-A clubhouse. So, I experienced that in 2018 where we had Dylan Tate traded, on trade deadline day, where he was scratched from his start. And, you can sort of feel it that guys walk a little bit on eggshells at times, not really sure how long they'll be in a certain place or, if they're going to be with that same group of guys in 2 or 3 days. It can be a little bit of a nervous time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, New Hampshire now, 3 games this weekend. You mentioned a name a couple of moments ago that has been a bit of a revelation, Jackson Webb. Tell me about him.
Yeah, Jackson Glenn is an interesting infielder. He's not a big guy. He's a little bit smaller, so he's more of a contact-oriented approach at the plate where he's trying to put the ball in play. But he will run into an occasional double and home run. Guy that has versatility, can play multiple spots on the infield. He can run pretty well. So it looks like he's going to be the leadoff guy for a little while here since Liover Peguero got promoted to AAA. He's sort of the guy that's gotten the call in the 4 or 5 games before the break. So, Jackson's an interesting guy, and looking forward to him, batting lead off again tonight for the Curve.
Yeah, Cheng looks pretty interesting, too.
Yeah, Sung-Chae Chang can really run. Another guy that's not all that big. He's about 5'8". And, I think the question for him is how much can he impact the baseball? How much power is he going to hit for? He's just 21 years old, so he's still sort of growing into a little bit more strength as his body matures in the next 2-3 years here. But this is a guy that the Pirates think very highly of. He accumulated a lot of winter ball experience in the last couple of off seasons after the 21 and 22 seasons, both times playing in the highly competitive Caribbean World Series. Played a little bit in the Dominican Winter League last year. And from what I'm told, sort of handled that without any issue. The way that he was so mature in the way he played the game, that was one thing that sort of caught the Pirates' attention. They think he sort of brings a mature approach to the game. And, we'll see quite a bit of Z going forward here. He goes by Z around the clubhouse because not a lot of guys can say Sung-Chae on short notice.
Yeah, you're right about that. So 3 in New Hampshire and then back to Altoona next week, right?
Back to Altoona next week, you're right. The Reading Fighting Phils are coming in. It's their only visit. So if you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan somewhere in central or western Pennsylvania, this is your chance to see Reading. And they've got some really good arms. Guys like Nick Abel and Griff McGarry and Oren Kerkering. They got a couple of guys that have really big fastballs. So that'll be exciting to see sort of how Altoona deals with the type of velocity that Abel and McGarry and Kerkering bring to the table during play next week. So it should be a lot of fun. This is a good time of year to get out and enjoy some baseball.
It really is. And, of course, the 25th season of Curve Baseball has featured some really interesting promotions. The Roberto Clemente announcement coming this week. But that's just one of many, many things that you've been doing. What are some of the special things about next week?
Yeah, very much looking forward to our Roberto Clemente retirement night. So many know that Roberto Clemente has this great connection to Pirates history, and heck, we write chapters of Pirates history in Altoona as players, write their stories on their way to the big leagues. Guys like Andrew McCutcheon and Gregory Polanco and Garrett Cole, and current guys like Henry Davis or Jared Triolo and Liover Peguero. It's part of their story to play in Altoona, and in the 25 years of Curve Baseball, not one player has worn the number 21 in honor of Roberto Clemente, but now it'll be official with his number retired in right center field coming up on the Friday night, right? The 21st. Mm-hmm. We're doing it. I wanted to do it at 5:21 p.m. I was told, no, that's too early. But we very much enjoy all of the Roberto Clemente stuff. Folks from the museum are going to be out. We're going to have some replica. We're going to have a game-used bat of his in the ballpark, so you can sort of get a feel for what those tools of the trade for Roberto were like for for him to hold in his hand.
Yeah, I remember being at the Louisville Slugger manufacturing plant in Louisville, and they put 3 bats, game-used bats from major leaguers out there every day, and you get the chance to put on the linen gloves and actually hold the bat. You're not allowed to swing it, but you're able to hold the bat, and I thought, man, maybe I could hold Roberto Clemente's bat, but it was the day before. So I didn't get that chance. It was a Jeter, and it's like, okay, well, Jeter doesn't mean anything.
That one's not so bad. Also a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, wow. You probably would. You're an old Yankees guy. Hey,
something like that.
Hey, John, thanks for the visit this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
You too. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.